Hi, everyone. We are excited to share with you today the product of over a year of conversation and work to put together what we think is a mission and vision for NACA moving forward. So this is something that the board of directors has been working on over a long length of time, and now is finally ready to share that with our community. So to start, my name is Katie Winstead Reichner. I am the Associate Director of Student Activities at Christopher Newport University, and I also serve on your board of directors.
And I'm Kendrick Durham, and I'm the Associate Dean for Student Life at Center College in Danville, Kentucky, and I'm also a member of the board.
And Kendrick and I were tasked in July of last year with taking a look at our former mission and vision and kind of reimagining that and thinking about who we want to be now and who we want to be in the future. And so that was kind of what we started with, and we spent a lot of time through that past year talking about those kind of two concepts. Who are we now and who do we want to be in the future? When we started those conversations, it was hard. We didn't make a lot of progress very quickly because we kind of were in this place of trying to think about, is the organization that we've been for the past 60 years, the organization that we're going to be in the future? And we knew that we weren't the same organization we were when we first began. And so figuring that out and figuring out how do we express that in a mission and vision statement was something that we took very seriously and we put a lot of time and thought into. So Kendrick and I and Amber and Jameson from the central office all worked together on this project, and over the past year have really put together something that we're proud of and that we're excited to share with you today. We're going to spend the next few minutes walking you through some of the thoughts and conversations that we had that really got us to the point where we are, that helped us kind of see these emergent themes and these things that really stood out to us as things that NACA values and that are important to our association. So with that, we want to talk a little bit about where we started. So over the past 60 years, NACA has really focused on these three main concepts of education, entertainment, and engagement. And we still do, but we really wanted to ask ourselves some tough questions about that. So why do we do those three things? How do we do those things? What do they look like in our programs and our events and our services? How do these things make us different than our peers? Are we providing the same content that another association or a competitor provides, or are we providing something new and unique? Who do we serve? You know, we're a unique organization in that we have a lot of different constituencies. We have associates, we have school members, and within those school members, we serve students and staff and professional staff from all different levels of their profession. And so we had a lot of conversation around that. And finally, we talked a lot about how do we amplify those concepts to take us to the next level. So what's next in those education, entertainment, and engagement concepts that's really going to push us forward and think about what we do next. So all of those conversations really boiled down to two main questions. And those questions were what makes us unique and what do we value? And when we talk about what makes us unique, we're really talking about what is that thing that makes us special? What is that thing that, you know, goes beyond kind of, I think we often lean on this idea of entertainment or edutainment. We heard a lot in some of our conversations of this idea of, you know, that's our bread and butter, and it very much is, but we knew that we went beyond that, and we knew that there was more to explore within that. But what else about our organization makes us special and makes it, when you come to a NACA event or you attend a NACA program online or you have a conversation with a NACA volunteer, what makes that different? And finally, what do we value? And we knew that this was different than core values. So we really thought more about not just the qualities that we aspire to, so like a core value, but what functions do we aspire to excel at? So what is really important to us? And for us, the values piece was really our why. So meaning whatever we value, that's the end result, that's our why. So that was a really important conversation that we had. And we spent a lot of time here. We spent a lot of time in our work group talking through that, talking about all the different pieces of our organization and how they reflected who we are and what we value. We also did a lot of research during this time to hear from you all, our membership, and different constituencies around the organization. So you know that Amber, our executive director, was at all of our fall regional events. So if you attended a fall regional conference, she spoke with a lot of our membership at those events, and she brought back some really great feedback for us. When you were at NACA Live, you may have taken a survey that we did where we solicited feedback from you there. And we also had a number of meetings with different constituency groups, especially our associate advisory group, who is our group of associate members who really represent the business interests of our associates and their role in our organization. And through all those conversations, it really became clear that there were three kind of main themes or concepts that we needed to focus on. The first of those was inclusive learning. And when you think about inclusive learning, that's obviously tied to the kind of education side of what we do as an organization, but inclusive learning goes beyond education. So Washington University Center for Teaching and Learning defines inclusive learning as inclusive teaching and learning practices are instrumental in creating and maintaining a learning environment in which all participants are fully engaged and respected, in which all participants are open to ideas, perspectives, and ways of thinking that are distinct from their own. And we really liked that definition because we really thought that it captured this idea of a space where everyone could find something for themselves, and something where everyone kind of saw themselves in the learning opportunities and had an opportunity to get something out of that. And we also think that inclusive learning is inclusive of all of the different things that we're trying to do around education. So issues around accessibility, and something that we're trying to really put a lot of emphasis into as we move forward. Diversity and inclusion, the standard educational offerings like webinars and educational sessions, but also our professional training, the mentorship that you all receive from both formal mentorship programs like the Leadership Fellows, but also your volunteer experiences that you're having, and our live events. And we think that our live events are something that are really unique to our learning environment because we're all in some way event planners. We all work around logistics and programs and services that we provide to our students. And so for us, the live events that NACA holds, NACA Live, our regional events, our summer institutes, they're learning laboratories. They're spaces where you can engage and get ideas and see how other people run things and be able to kind of, envision what that could look like on your campus. And with that, I will turn it over to Kendrick.
So the next theme that came up was a little serendipitous. It wasn't something we really expected to hear, and that was meaningful connections. Through all of the groups that we spoke with or heard from in one way or the other, this was a topic that came up over and over, whether that was from students, advisors, associates. Relationships was a common thread that kept reappearing. So we recognize, as Katie was saying, that the connection that is made between members in the association is important beyond those live events. And that could be because of business relationships that are formed, that could be mentorships, that could be colleagues that just like to get together and share stories and war stories or successes and failures on their campuses. The relationships that are formed in the association are important to the membership. So that was something that was evident. Everybody kind of felt that to be true, but we didn't expect it to come up in this conversation. It's important to note, historically, the association has not really leaned on this quite as much as we might have wanted to. And it's important that we value those connections, we show those values in our community, and that those show up in our formal mission and purpose for the organization. And again, these connections, they come up through the Coffee and Conversations webinars, through the NACA Connect communities, other areas where people are interacting, not just at the live events, which is the most obvious place where these connections happen, but also in other things that the association offers year-round. And then engaging entertainment. That's the last theme that came up. And what it says here on the slide is where we landed. Every component of our association is grounded in entertainment. It's why the association was founded. People were looking for ways to connect entertainers with campuses. And so it's important for us to remain connected to that core value of the association and not shy away from that. I think this became particularly obvious to us when we were working with our consultant. She asked questions like, what makes us unique as an association? What is it that we offer that no other association offers or does as well as NACA does? Another question that came up was, what would other higher education associations say is our hallmark? What do we do well? What are we known for? And engaging entertainment is something we could not look past. And again, this is both at live events and at other things or through other mediums that the association offers. We are very good at the intentional audience-focused events, like our regional conferences, for instance. But we also offer other programs to help people put engaging entertainment events together. And so it's important that the association focuses on this as a core value. it's also important to think about the expectation that's set up for members, and this is again something that we heard from several different membership categories, which is the idea that you come to NACA, you're engaged in an entertainment environment, but also you're learning how to do things at the same time. You're being entertained while also learning, and in many ways we allow for hands-on learning at these events. And so this is something valuable for the members to take with them back to their campuses as well. And there was also a desire for NACA to lead the charge in terms of finding and displaying those cutting-edge entertainment events and support services that can be offered and taken back to campuses. And so that's something that that we want to make sure and lean in on as well, is how does the association chart the course and help campuses and associates find the places where they fit and are forward thinking about the things that they offer. And we also want to think about the value of engaging entertainment to college campuses. And this is something that speaks to the leadership in higher education. There are multiple studies that will point to the fact that engaged students are happier, they're more likely to be learning, and they're more likely to be retained at the institutions where they are enrolled. So it's very important for something on campus to be engaging those students and be bringing them back. And so we feel that NACA has a role to play there in terms of helping both agents, associates, and staff members to help find ways to keep students engaged so that they are learning and they are retained on campuses. And so that's kind of a place where NACA can be a conduit for information for the membership. So all three of our themes kind of pointed to a common thread, and this wove through all three, and that is the idea of belonging. In our conversation about our why, belonging is something that came up, and we felt like it couldn't be ignored. And as I said, all the things that we've talked about help people feel like they belong. If they're engaged, if they're being entertained, if they are learning, if they are being included, if they're making connections, this helps them feel like they belong in the association, and then hopefully will help students and staff members and associates create that sense of belonging when they go to the member campuses. Brene Brown had to say about belonging that it's the innate human desire to be part of something larger than us. Because this yearning is so primal, we often try to acquire it by fitting in and by seeking approval, which are not only hollow substitutes for belonging, but often barriers to it. Because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. So that quote really spoke to us, and really, when put in the context of the association, we felt like that was something we both already valued as an association, but also something we should use as a banner going forward, the sense of belonging and creating and cultivating that sense. Again, to the leadership in higher education, belonging creates engagement and creates a sense of wanting to be at a place, and that will help retention, that will help students in their learning, and just create more healthy communities on campuses. So we want the association to be able to help cultivate and create this sense of belonging wherever we can. Also, one last thing before we go on that I will say about belonging is that NACA has a reputation historically for people to feel like they can be their authentic selves, and this is something that it came back up in the research again. People talk about being able to intermingle with others in our live events and in other ways, and be who they are, and so we want to be able to cultivate that as well, thinking about taking that back to our campuses and creating these communities wherever we can. So with that, we are going to unveil the new mission and vision for the organization. You're muted.
Our mission is that NACA empowers members to amplify the campus experience through inclusive learning, meaningful connections, and engaging entertainment that transforms college communities. And our vision is to create college communities where everyone belongs. And with those two statements, you'll see a lot of the things that we spoke about throughout this presentation echoed in these sentences. And we really were intentional about each and every word that we used in these and spent a great deal of time kind of talking through them and making sure that they fit both the message we wanted to convey, but also felt like our association and felt like NACA. And that was something very important to us as we kind of moved through this process. So you'll see words like amplify, which is a direct callback to that entertainment component of what we do, but also speaks to this idea to make louder and to raise up. You know, we recognize that we, NACA, are not doing the work for you, but we are giving you the resources and empowering you to kind of take that into your own hands and take it back to your campus and create change and create action there.
Another important distinction that we made was the use of the word college communities. We wanted to make sure that we're speaking to all of our institutional members, whether they're at community colleges, four-year publics, four-year privates, whatever the case may be. College is the universal term here. We don't want to speak to just one audience. And it's very important, again, we've focused on this idea of community. We want to make sure that people are engaged in creating a place where people belong and can feel at home.
Yes, and I think for us more so now than ever, we're really in this place of these feel like us as far as community builders and people who are really kind of helping us navigate what is going to be an interesting period of time in our history for you all on your campuses, for you all as people. And we really felt that these statements captured the role that we wanted to play in some of that conversation. And we have a responsibility to be that kind of guiding light in campus activities and to help provide some of that framework. And so we're really excited to utilize these statements as we navigate kind of these uncertain times and really guide us forward. And so we are so excited. We're so excited to share these with you. We welcome any questions or feedback about these statements. You can contact our executive director, Amber, with any kind of feedback or questions or thoughts that you have, or you can contact the board of directors directly, but I know that Amber has offered to be that kind of conduit for us. So Kendrick, if you don't have anything else, I think that's it. And we're so excited you spent a few minutes watching this video and enjoying the birth of our new mission and vision and our hard work. So thank you.
Thanks.